So this is the second part of our session. In continuation what was dealt in the previous one. So the we were talking about the techniques of the family of the population control, and we have talked about development, then awareness, and then obviously the family planning methods. If we define family planning as per the WHO, it says it's an ability of an individual or a couple to anticipate and attain the desired number of children and the spacing and timing of their births. Fortunately, India was the first country in the world to have launched a national program for family planning in 1952. And since then, it has undergone transformations in terms of policy and actual implementation at grassroots level. There has occurred a gradual shift from clinical approach to the reproductive child health approach and then to a holistic target-free approach, which has really helped in reduction of the fertility indicators in India. This family planning has undergone a paradigm shift and emerged as one of the interventions which will help us to mitigate the impact of high population growth by helping our women to achieve the desired family size. In a way, we can understand that population control can be checked by adopting certain birth control methods. That under family control, we have family planning methods, we have barrier, chemical, and surgical methods. Before I take up these methods, it needs to be understood here that I'll be giving a brief outline about these methods, as these methods will be dealt in detail in due course of time in your MBBS curriculum. So, as we see, this name suggests itself barrier. It creates a barrier between the two things. That means it prevents the entry of sperm into the female genital tract in order to prevent the fertilization to happen during the copulation. So it mainly includes condoms, female diaphragm, and sponge. In addition, we have another class of contraceptives. It's called as IUCDs, that's intrauterine contraceptive devices, and they are small, flexible objects which are to be inserted into the female uterine cavity. Important to mention here is that they don't prevent the fertilization to happen, but they does not allow the implantation of a fertilized embryo to the uterine cavity. And the most common example, which you must have heard about either in radios or on newspapers, is the copper tea. Then we have another method under the family planning methods, that is the oral and vaginal pills. These both pills, their mechanism of action by bringing about the family control is to delay ovulation. That is these pills contain hormones, that's estrogen and progesterone, and they alter the normal sequence of menstrual cycle in a female so that ovulation doesn't happen, which is an uh, important thing to happen for a normal pregnancy. And in the Department of Family Welfare, we have made available two types of low dose oral pills available free of cost to the individuals under the brand name of Mala D and Mala N. In addition to these oral and vaginal pills, there has been a recent development in chemical methods, that is in form of Norplant, which is not to be taken orally or vaginally, but it needs to be surgically inserted under the skin, but its mechanism of action remains the same. That is, it also prevents ovulation to happen. Then the other method, which is under the family planning, is surgical method, which includes vasectomy and tubectomy. Vasectomy is done in males, which involves the duct of testes, that is, vas deferens is cut off, and the cut ends are tied with a vanadium or titanium clip. Then another method, tubectomy, is done in the females. Here, the oviducts of a female are cut and its continuation is disrupted, and the cut ends are tied so that the ovum is prevented from passing into the uterus. Both these surgical methods are true methods of population control, as they are usually permanent in nature. and the choice of which method to be used by an individual is wholly and solely voluntarily, where our healthcare workers make the individuals aware about the side effects, about the advantages of the method, and it's a voluntary decision from an individual to, to ask for any of the methods available at any center, which and it needs to be reiterated here. The choice is entirely voluntary. There's nothing like that forced decision, force is being imposed or thrusted on an individual. Then another action, another family control mechanism is the legislative actions. We have a Child Marriage Restraint Act 19 of 1978 for avoiding the child marriages and for delaying the marriages. As we know that the minimum age of marriage for a girl has been fixed as 18 and boys, in terms of boys, it's 21 years. In the families which adopt the small family norms, they should be given some incentives as so that to encourage more and more families to join the family control process. Then there are certain acts wherein it's compulsory elementary education for all, so that an individual is well informed and well educated to take an informed decision about his family. So these were some of the methods of controlling the population growth. And these all these techniques which we have uh, dealt right now, they don't act independently. These are all interrelated. Whereas in this legislative action of making the education compulsory for all the individuals, it in turn helps in making the overall development. And if there's a development and vis-a-vis we are creating, generating awareness among the masses about these about the importance of family planning methods, about the importance of small family norms. That means more and more individuals adopt the small family norms, and in turn, it all these factors interplay. That means these factors work in a web kind of arrangement, and finally leading to the population stabilization. So these are not something individual factors, but they are interrelated factors where each one of them regulate each other in bringing the population stabilization. So the advantage of having the population control. If we have small populations in our country, it means better employment opportunities, developed society, developed community in terms of highly educated community, better educational standards, better living of standards, biggest green spaces in terms of we will be agriculturally, will be self-sufficient in terms of the food production, good quality of life, better living standards, and obviously it will bring about the overall development of the nation. So this was about the population control, wherein we dealt about we learned about what it is, why is it important, how it can be implemented, and what advantages it could be of having the population stabilization in process. So these are some I've given. The key to MCQs has there's a slide as well. There's a question answers to these questions as well. But first, you make an attempt on your own to answer these questions, and then cross check whether you have answered them correctly or not. So that's it for the today's session. And I put up my mail ID, that's tahar.ou@ymail.com. And if you have any query regarding the today's session about the population control mechanisms, you can feel free to either drop in a mail to my ID, or you can put up a question and visit in person to our department, where you can meet me in person to discuss anything, or whenever you feel like whatever method you feel like comfortable with in posing the questions, you're always welcome. Thank you. Have a nice day.